Hi everyone, welcome to the Witching Week. Today is episode number 72. Today we're going to be talking about Beltane, Breathe magazine, things with no name and a host of other spring topics. So grab a cup of tea, put some incense on, get comfortable and we'll explore the Witching Week. Hi everyone, thank you for being here, thank you for watching, welcome back and welcome if you're new to the channel and new to the Witching Week. My name is Wren, I'm known as the Cemetery Witch, and every Friday we get together for a cup of tea, a bit of a catch up, we go over the topics of the previous week and the week to come, and we look at the wheel of the year and the change of the seasons. I almost wasn't sure what I was going to say then, I should know what to say by now. It's been a very, very busy week and my brain is absolutely fried, but it's been fantastic, so I'm going to tell you all about it. First of all, what am I drinking and what am I burning? So I'm on the Superfruit Tea Pigs. We've nearly finished this carton now. I'm making that sound like I'm sort of like dragging myself through them. They're actually very nice, but it is nice to have a bit of a variety. And I only have one hot drink a week, and that is every Friday on the Witching Week. So it takes me a while. I need to get a variety box of something. So I am burning some Teck and Tonka incense. Haven't dug this out in a while. This one is a real treat basically. It's about £5 for the packet, so a bit more expensive than maybe a Satia incense, and it's more of a, I guess, like a fragrance oil type incense rather than, you know, like burning rosemary or having a herb. This is a created sort of aroma, I guess. Teck and Tonka, which I think is sort of African, I think, in its inspiration. Yeah, it's a souvenir d'Afrique, souvenir of Africa. So, and it's really, really lovely. It's quite strong. And I just absolutely love it. It's made by Esteban Paris. And I also have the fragrance oil as well, which you can just burn in a regular oil burner. And the thing about this is it doesn't go off. So I've had this now, I've probably had this like at least a year, and it still smells as it did when I got it. So really, really nice, a little bit of luxury. Teck and Tonka, check it out if you haven't. It's up there with my favourites. It's up there with my favourites. So we're on the 5th of April. This episode runs until the 12th of April. How are we working our way towards the middle of April already? It means we're on the home run to Beltane, which just doesn't seem possible. See, there are still people having snow, especially in America. We haven't had any here. It's like I said, I think last week, there are always these reports saying that it's going to be like a freak weather event and we're going to have, you know, like a foot of snow falling in 10 minutes and all this kind of rubbish. But no, that didn't happen. We didn't have the snow that they said we might have between the 2nd and 4th. I knew we wouldn't. But yeah, there are some people in America. There's a lady I follow called Selena. I want to say Selena Fox, but I might have that wrong. My brain's just not going to work after this week. But yeah, she's had a big snowstorm wherever she is. So yeah, I think there's very much a fight between winter and spring at the moment, even though we are 2 and a bit weeks. Is it 2 and a bit weeks? I guess at this point it's more like 3 weeks, isn't it? 3 weeks away from Beltane, which is a celebration of the first stirrings of summer, but it seems like winter and spring are still having a little bit of a battle. So yeah, we are on the home run to Beltane. I'd love to know what your plans are, what you're up to. Are you doing anything big this year? Maybe you're going away. Maybe you're just going to be at home and you're going to be working. I think it falls on a Wednesday this year. So obviously we have the May Day bank holiday, which will be the Monday, I think. Oh no, I think it's maybe after. I think it's maybe the 6th actually. Anyway, Beltane falls on the 1st, but we have the May Day bank holiday, which is separate because that's obviously always on a Monday. So it's my absolute favourite day of the year, Beltane. It's also my hand fasting anniversary. My husband and I were hand fasted back in 2016, so that's 8 years ago this year. It's absolutely crazy. Time has absolutely flown past. And yeah, I'm feeling excited about it. I am feeling excited about it. I don't know if we're doing anything yet. Last year we went to Glastonbury, which was absolutely beautiful. It was glorious. It was sunny. It was actually very warm. I got a bit hot and I was wearing a sleeveless top. Normally I'm cold, and definitely got a little bit of sunburn, I think, on our cheeks. But I really struggled to be on my feet that long. I had my walking stick. I took one of my like witchy stuffs this time, and it was quite a struggle with the procession up and down and then going up to Bushy Combe, because that was very much like on a slant. And by that point, my legs, my pelvis was absolutely killing me. And when people see you with a witchy staff, they don't necessarily make the connection that you've got it because you need it, rather than, you know, it's a piece of decoration. So yeah, when people are trying to sort of like work their way through the crowd, if they bumped into me, I was nearly falling over. So my husband was having to hold me up, but it was an absolutely fantastic day. And I really recommend it if you can get there. It all starts very early. They have a Beltane fire at the Chalice Well at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I think the doors are open sort of 6:30, 7. And yeah, so it's a very, very long day if you are traveling from afar, but it's well worth it. It's so much fun, and it's lovely to be in the midst of all that joy and celebration and merrymaking. So yeah, let's hope that Beltane is a beautiful day weather-wise, so that everybody can enjoy their celebrations. I know they'll enjoy them whatever, but it is nice, isn't it, if it's warm and it's dry. So what's been going on this week? Well, thank you so much for all your support. Last week, when I thought I was going to be releasing and launching my business, and then it didn't quite happen because I got held up with a technicality with Patreon, and then it happened yesterday. So thank you for your support yesterday as well. If you're watching and you have joined Patreon, then thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really, really appreciate you. And I appreciate you guys so much, in fact, that with the first sign up and then the subsequent sign ups, my heart just kept jumping out of rhythm. And I spent all day yesterday with like an arrhythmia, so it was like missing beats, and also in supraventricular tachycardia, so it was going super, super fast, which is not a nice feeling, and you can't concentrate on very much. And so that's why I'm absolutely exhausted today. It's just my sheer gratitude at your kindness and just the joy of the situation. I think what a lot of people don't realise is that when you have an untreated heart condition like mine, I'm seeing my cardiologist on Monday, so hopefully we'll have a bit more of a step forward. They tried me on some medication. It was a no-go, so going back on Monday. But anyway, what a lot of people don't realise is that it's not just stress. People associate like heart issues with stress, but actually it can be any kind of excitable energies. You can be really happy, you could be excited, you could be nervous, you could be stressed, anything like that at all. And it just sends me into a complete spin. And the funny thing is, people always say, oh, breathe, it makes no difference. It's the adrenaline, basically. I think it's the adrenaline. It's that feeling you get when you're aroused, that excites the heart. So yeah, I was doing all the breathing yesterday. I even nearly passed out at one point. I had to go and lay on the sofa, and it's just my sheer gratitude, my excitement as well, because, you know, this is an absolute passion and joy of mine, witchcraft, and I'm really happy at the thought of being able to support myself and work within this community and work around all my health problems. But yeah, I was just so grateful. So thank you so very much if you joined up. I appreciate it more than you will ever know. Yeah, already we're building a lovely little community over there. It's really nice because whilst we do have obviously a community here and on Patreon, on Instagram, sorry, and on Facebook, it's a lot more private. So you're not at the sort of mercy of people that are idiots. I can also post longer content, things like that. So I can do interviews with people, written word interviews, and they can be quite long. It just opens up so many more possibilities. And then obviously I can attach the grimoire sheets that I offer as one of the tiers. I can upload those as PDFs and put them all in a nice file. So it's just a really, really helpful platform. And yeah, I'm loving it so much already. So thank you so much if you've joined, and thank you if you've shared any of my posts talking about this, because it's really, really helpful, because obviously I'm fighting the Instagram algorithm. If everybody could see my posts, that would make such a difference. But of course, you only get shown to about like 1% of people. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for all your help. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your little messages of support. They mean just as much as the people that have signed up. I'm grateful to you all. So thank you very much. Another bit of gratitude, I was quoted in Breathe magazine. So this is issue 63, and this is available until the 25th of April, I believe, so you can still get this. Sometimes I work with a lovely journalist called Jade. Hi Jade, if you're watching. And quite often she will phone me up and ask me for advice on something witchy, and sometimes she'll go ahead and quote me. She's done stories on me as well in other magazines. And this one is all about cemeteries. So the article is called Past Lives. Let me see, I did put a massive bit of paper in here so that I could find the page. Typical, isn't it? Goodness knows where that's gone. I think it was page 44. Yeah, and it's all about beautiful, beautiful cemeteries across the world, and also just like the feelings that cemeteries invoke, what they're all about. So this is such a lovely magazine. It's really gentle. It's kind of like mindfulness, well-being, creativity, escape. It's at the top. It's sort of like a philosophical, a little bit of psychology, I guess you would say, just really beautiful pictures and just really lovely sort of whimsical, soft, gentle articles. Really, really nice publication, Breathe magazine. So yeah, check that out if that interests you. And what else? Yeah, I've got a couple of readings on the subject of books. I think I'll do them at the end, hopefully I remember. But I wanted to go back to I think was it last week's episode or the one before? I'm losing track now. It's all sort of like rolling into one. I wanted to talk about, I'll go back to that little chat I had about people pitting things against each other. So in this case, it was Easter versus Astara, what Easter has stolen from Astara. And I just wanted to add a little bit on that, because since I did that on the Witching Week, we had someone come to the house to do a little bit of work. As it turns out, he'd been to this site before because he's a Christian, and he had been involved in quite a few burials here a long time ago, and now he had a different line of work but still heavily involved in the church. And it was clear that he was a devout Christian, and he became, I think, more so once he realised that I was pagan. I mean, you can't come in my house and not realise it. There's lots of things to give it away. There's pentagrams. There's just up there, there's a little sign that my mum bought that says, "You say witch like it's a bad thing." There's like little witches. There's all sorts of bits and bobs. So obviously we were talking about his religion a bit, and then I said, well, obviously I'm pagan, you may have spotted that and worked that one out. He became a bit more religious after that, but lovely, lovely guy, really, really nice. We bonded over Celtic spirituality, and the point of what I'm trying to say is that we have more in common than actually what divides us, and I think it's really, really important to remember that. It's really, really important when you see these posts that are a little bit inflammatory and are pitching, it doesn't have to even be pitching pagans against another group, Christians, it can be literally any group of people. And there is more that unites us than divides us. And we found some common ground, and it was really, really nice. We both love John O'Donoghue. When he said he was into Celtic spirituality and the elements and the sun and the moon, which I thought was really interesting, that his brand of Christianity, if you like, the way he views that is very much heavy on those things. I thought that was lovely, and I said to him, do you know John O'Donoghue? Do you like him? And he was like, oh my goodness, I absolutely adore him. So we had a good chat about that. We had a good chat about his book Anamkara, and I made him lots of cups of tea because it was really cold out and he was in and out the house all day, and he offered him some lunch because he was here a while, and really, really lovely guy. And he was really nice when he said goodbye. He said, thank you for looking after me. And it was just really lovely. And it was actually really nice having his company. Not that I would have an issue with that, you know, I'm a pagan. I think the more the merrier. If you're Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, pagan, non-pagan, whatever, you know, if people are nice and they want to share company together, then the more the merrier. But I think for him, maybe it might have been different, but he showed a real effort to, you know, not be put off by that and to see me as a person. We spent quite a bit of time talking about cats because he had several cats, and the neighbour's cat wanted to come in, and yeah, it was just really, really nice. And I wonder, you know, I asked the question, like, should I have hated him? Should he have hated me? And the answer is no, we're just two human beings. So yeah, all was well, and we managed to sort of chug along nicely with completely different religions, but sharing something at the heart of both. And I thought that was really nice, and it just made me think about that post on Easter and Ostara, and I just wanted to add that to sort of our discussion today. So going back to another episode of the Witching Week as well, episode 62, I spoke about things with no name, and you might remember I made a little video in my Thoughts on series where I took this out as a chunk and put it as a video in its own right, and I was talking about a feeling that you get that is specific to a place, but there being no name for this feeling. And lots of people have come forward with ideas and words and some really interesting words in other languages to describe certain things, but so far nothing has come close to what it is I am trying to portray in words. And I'm not even sure that I can put it in words, because the feeling that I get that is evoked is very different from place to place. So it's not just the name of this phenomenon, but it's also the human feelings that I'm having that I don't actually, you know, emotions almost, that I don't actually have a word for. So some people have come forwards with the idea of like ambience, mood, atmosphere. Do you know, quite often this happens, like, I forget how to pronounce the word in English. I think it's a cognitive thing as a result of like having a heart that's working like 3 times as hard. But yeah, this happens to me a lot. But anyway, yeah, ambience, mood, atmosphere. Yes, obviously there is that at a place, but this is not what I'm trying to describe. It really, really goes deeper than that. And I wonder if you would say that it's like the feel that the genius loci provides, the soul or spirit of a place. Maybe that's what you're experiencing, the genius loci. So it's all those little spirits in every rock and tree and stone and flower. Maybe it's all those combined to make the genius loci, and that is what you're experiencing. But it's still a very, very difficult thing to explain. So when I go to a certain place, I'll get that feeling all of the time, every time I go there, and it invokes a feeling in me, but I can't describe what that feeling is. And then there might be another place that has a very different feeling, and again it evokes some sort of response in me, and I feel a particular way, but I don't know what that is, and I can't even tell you how it makes me feel. It's just something in my body. It's very, very difficult to describe, and as far as I can tell, there is no word in the English language. I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was a word somewhere in the world in a different language, because I think perhaps some people in some places are a lot more tuned into nature and nature sort of spirituality. So I think it just might be English. But yeah, I really don't know. I really don't know. But it's a really, really deep feeling, and it's a really quite a profound thing that I'm trying to describe. But several of you guys have said that you understand, and I knew you would. I knew you would, but yeah, there just doesn't seem to be a word for it. And I just find it absolutely fascinating. It's one of those mysteries. And what I'm wondering is, does everybody get this? Well, I don't think everybody would, but out of the people that do get it, is everybody witchy, do you think? Or do you think that you can experience that perhaps if you're not witchy or you don't consider yourself to be? Is it just the people that are quite connected with the land perhaps? So you could be witchy or otherwise. I don't know. It's really, really interesting. Maybe it's something that everyone has, but it's a very, very tangible feeling, but it's very hard to grasp and it's very hard to describe, and it is different from place to place. So yeah, what do you think? Is it the genius loci? Is that what I'm experiencing? Is that just what we should call it? But the genius loci is the soul and spirit of a place. So is the experience of that soul or spirit of a place, should that have its own name? Or again, would we just refer to that as the genius loci? I don't know. Help me out if you can. Help me out if you can. So on a more personal note, talking of natural beings and spirits, a few people have asked about my hair. So yes, I am growing it out again. I said at Samhain that I would. It is a complete mess, as you can see. It is actually a lot more grey than it was when I stopped dyeing it. As you can see, it's sort of greyer on that side. And I always get lots and lots of questions about this. And it's funny how often people bring up the fact that like, oh, you're gonna look older with silver hair. And yeah, I will. And by the time I've grown it out, so when I did it before from start to finish, it actually took me 3 years to grow out the silver and to get it to the length that I wanted. And yeah, so from start to finish, I did look older, but what they mean is you might look really old. And to me, that's more of a, I think because I've been feeling poorly and I've been unwell, I have actually looked quite drawn and unwell, and so yeah, it doesn't look so great. It does look better with some colour, but there's so many sort of issues at stake here. There's time, there's money, there's effort, there's energy, and there's just battling something that is, you know, natural and is supposed to happen. And so yeah, it does make me look older when it's not dyed, but aging is a natural thing, it's a beautiful thing, and I do think it's really, really important to sort of challenge some of societal sort of beliefs and attitudes and some of the things that have become norms, which are just like not right. It's, yeah, it is a mess at the moment in the in-between stage. I don't think you can really see in this light, but sometimes it does look terrible. But that is just part of the journey, isn't it? It's part of the sacrifice and the struggle. It's like any other, I'd actually say, spiritual journey. And it is quite a spiritual thing when you allow yourself to be who you actually are. And so, yeah, I thought all those sort of practical issues aside, and the fact that it just really hurts my shoulders to do it, I just thought I would go back to sort of fighting for choice, really. I'm not someone who has been like, no, you mustn't dye your hair, everyone must just age, because obviously I've dyed mine in the last couple of years after having grown it out. I'm totally pro-choice for everyone, not just women. I really, really think that we should do what makes us feel good. It just bugs me that overall there is this view that, you know, to show silver hair is bad. And I'm still seeing so many dye adverts that come up like in my Facebook feed that, you know, are all about covering up silver hair because it's a bad thing. And it just absolutely drives me nuts. And it's okay to have silver hair. It's a choice like any other, and actually it's beautiful in its own right. So yeah, so I'm going through the process again. I mean, it's well spotted, but at the same time, it's not too hard to spot. And there is a very clear line. And on this side now, which I didn't have before when I last sort of grew it out, there's a very defined sort of grey line. So it's going to be like apart from the odd stripe, it's going to be like a dark sort of, what do they call it? Is it gunshot grey or something? But anyway, yes, it's being grown out, and I really wanted to colour it for Beltane because that's like the one day in the year that I want to feel good. But considering it takes 3 years to grow it out from start to finish, that means there's got to be at least 2 Beltanes where it's just not the colour I want. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to suck it up and just go with it, I'm afraid. So I thought we'd talk about Beltane actually, because we've got 3 weeks. Next week, I think we will focus a little bit more on like altars and what to put on them, stuff like that. But this week I thought we would just go through what it is and what it means to me and maybe you guys, and just start to get in the Beltane mood. If you are over on Patreon, this month is very much going to be about Beltane. I've tried to do everything like the month before so that you've got time to prep and prepare, and the same goes for these videos really. And now that I've got a whole heap of work done, I can now start doing some more witchcraft videos and, you know, just being a bit more sort of better prepared. I mean, we're pretty good on the witching week. We do tend to talk about things in advance, but it's always good, isn't it? Because it's good to just like get organised and stuff. So Beltane, what does it mean to you? I would love to know what images and thoughts, excuse me, and feelings are evoked when you think of Beltane. Tell me in the comments. Obviously, it's considered to be late spring. So it is, some people see it as a celebration of spring. Other people very much see it as a celebration of the first stirrings of summer. As I'm saying this, the rain is starting to lash down, which is funny. For me, it's kind of both really, isn't it? We're in the absolute peak of spring at Beltane, and yeah, we are seeing those first stirrings of summer some years. So some years it will be cold and wet. I've definitely had Beltanes like that I can remember, but most of the time the weather is pretty good at Beltane. And you know, like I was saying earlier about being at Glastonbury last year, you can get burnt, you can get sunburn. So it's what I've been saying the past few weeks, this is a very, very sort of strange period in between kind of like the equinox, the spring equinox, the start of April. That's a weird period, and then the minute you get to April it seems to like whiz really quickly to Beltane, and you can have snow in that period in March, but then you can get burnt on Beltane or just before. So very, very, very weird time for me, I think, energetically. Everything is blooming usually at this point. Last year it was really, really late. I can remember just feeling like things didn't quite happen before Beltane and at Beltane like they usually would. It felt really, really late. Even though we had a glorious day on Beltane itself, a lot of the greenery and the trees and the shrubs and stuff weren't at their full sort of like bloom that they would be at that point. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what it's like this year. We had a very mild winter, so I don't think there's going to be a delay so much, but who knows, we could suddenly have like ridiculously cold weather in 4 weeks time. It's just such a strange thing in England, and also just obviously with climate change and stuff like that. But yeah, I think this year things are going to be very much on time. So the first stirrings of summer, when I think of Beltane, the first thing that comes to mind is hawthorn, Crataegus monogyna. So I very much associate, as lots of people do, most people do, associate the hawthorn with Beltane. It's called May tree, May flower. It's named after the month in which it flowers. And for me personally, around Beltane, on Beltane, I like to look and see if the hawthorn has flowered, and if it has, it is considered the beginning of summer. So obviously, like most folk things, this is very like hit and miss, because you could have a bush that's getting full sunlight in a road. So we've got quite a bit of hawthorn down the road that we live in, and parts of it will flower before others because it's getting the sun before others. So you say, well, at which stage is it summer then? Is it when that bit flowers, just a bit of it, or is it when all of it flowers? But we don't have to worry about stuff like that, because that's not romantic, and it's not something to enjoy. So if I see the hawthorn blooming somewhere, it's the start of summer. So it's a lovely thing to do, to look out on May the 1st, go and find some hawthorn and see if it's flowered. Something else that I think of is fairies. I think of love and passion and lust and fertility, the greenwood marriage, the goddess and the god, the king and queen of the May, sexual union, sacred union. So I always think of Beltane as very much being a festival for lovers for partners, for husband and wives, for whatever, you know, for people that love each other. That feels to me like very much the energy of Beltane, and very much like young people, I guess, young lovers rather than us oldies. That is the energy. And it's funny because I do have, I suppose, I've never actually thought about it in the whole year though, but I guess when I think of Samhain, I think of like older people and obviously death and stuff like that, but you think of being more in your sort of winter years, and Beltane being for young people. And then where do children fit into that? I guess really, I think the energy of Imbolg is quite nice, isn't it? And the spring equinox. But yeah, Beltane is for lovers, I think. I think of the Green Man. I think of dressing in green, I think of jumping over fires, and I think of bonfires, and I think of dancing the maypole, all those fun things. Creative energy is high at this time of year. All energy is high. We are moving towards that peak light, peak warmth, peak sun, which we are going to hit at the festival afterwards, but we're not going to touch on that too much. Let's just enjoy it. So lots of light. The mornings are very light, the evenings are much lighter, but it can still feel like winter in the days before and the days during and the days after. So very, very interesting time. I am certainly waking up at like 4:30, between 4:30 and 5:30 now. The birds are singing, that, you know, it's getting lighter, my bedroom's filling with light. But I'm definitely at my most productive. I definitely get my most tired at this part of year because I'm asleep less, and I do have the urge to do more, but it's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling. It's not like the winter. So this is a time to get as much done as possible. When I talk about productivity, I don't mean in like a consumerist way. I don't mean in terms of like working for the man. I don't mean, you know, grafting away to make money. When I talk about getting a lot done, that could be picking up hobbies that you've not been able to do. I mean, like I always say every year that I tend to do some sewing in the summer because we have the light, and it's just too dark in the winter and too cold. I'm all bundled up. I'm under a blanket on the sofa. It's just too cold and too dark to sew. So yeah, this is when we are at our most productive, and this is when we should be at our most productive. Make the most of this wonderful energy if you can. It's time to get as much as we can done and really enjoy life before the downturn. And again, I'm not going to go into that too much over the next few weeks because I think we should enjoy this time. And obviously, it's even though we hit the downturn at Aether, we don't see that for a while. But yeah, it's time to really, really make the most of this light, this warmth, this energy. And whenever we get to this part of the year, I always try and get myself to make the most of it a bit more in the days before Beltane, because as soon as we hit Beltane, we are on that countdown, and then boom, we'll hit Aether. So yeah, try and enjoy this period as much as you can. Even if you are a stickler for autumn and winter, and you love those parts of the year, there is something really special about this part of the year as well. Many people consider Beltane to be a time when the veil is thinner. Obviously the veil is a thin thing, but yeah, many people consider that. Some people don't. Some people argue that it's only at Samhain, but the way I was taught is that Beltane is the opposite of Samhain, and it is another time where it's possible to reach out to those other beings, entities, spirits, especially fairies. So yeah, very, very lovely, interesting, exciting time for me personally. How do you feel about it? Are you productive at this time of year? Do you feel compelled to get stuff done and to take up new hobbies and to really, really engage in life? How do you feel about Beltane? I'm going to do some readings now, and then we are going to do some cards. Somebody asked me about the colours of Beltane the other day. They said they considered green to be a colour of Beltane, but why red? And I suppose red represents life, doesn't it? Again, this sort of like energy, enjoyment, frivolity, passion, maybe, red. But also when I think of red and green, so the colours for Beltane, I guess, would be sort of like red, green, brown, white, maybe even some yellow to represent flowers. But when I think of red and green, again, I think of the hawthorn, I think of the green leaves, and I think of the red berries. But yeah, what do you think? So I'm going to give you 2 readings today, actually. I've got one well, not really on the spirit of Beltane, but it's from a book called The Quest for the Green Man. Gosh, sorry, I'm just trying to get my mouth to marry up with my brain. The Quest for the Green Man, John Matthews. So I thought I would read a passage from this, which I thought was really, really thought-provoking. Let's see if I can do this without making a meal of it. So, it doesn't say who this is by, so I'm assuming it's actually by John Matthews. He's compiled lots of information on the Green Man. There's little bits of poetry and prose in here. Sometimes it says who's written it, and sometimes it doesn't, so I'm assuming that this is one of his. We have forgotten who we are. We have alienated ourselves from the unfolding of the cosmos. We have become estranged from the movements of the earth. We have turned our backs on the cycles of life. We have forgotten who we are. We have sought only our own security. We have exploited simply for our own ends. We have distorted our knowledge. We have abused our power. We have forgotten who we are. Now the forests are dying and the creatures are disappearing and humans are despairing. We have forgotten who we are. We ask for forgiveness. We ask for the gift of remembering. We ask for the strength to change. We have forgotten who we are. And it says underneath, the earth will always need its champions, of whom the Green Man in his many guises is foremost. Can we number ourselves in the ranks of his supporters? So I guess if you're going to give some energy to anything in this period, perhaps it would be nice to do something for the earth to give a little bit back. So the other reading I wanted to give you is from A Year of Pagan Prayer, Barbara Nolan. I thought I would dig this out. And this is in the month of April, as we are still in April. And this is a piece from Persephone by Edgar Lee Masters. Then dawn came up as fresh as jonquils. There were blossoms in coverts, fields and hills. There were songs in the sky. There were musical tongues in the teeming sea that chanted hymns to the April morn. For Demeter walked with Persephone over the land of the springing corn, and men rejoiced, they sang believing, in earth from heaven, life receiving, in life that does not die. So that was a little bit more celebratory after the first reading, and just celebrates really the land and all its glory at this time of year. Right, time for some cards now. I think I've done quite well to talk for as long as I have, on only a couple of hours sleep, a headache, that one flew out, and yeah, a lot going on this week. So thank you again. Let me know in the comments what you've been up to. Has it been a good week for you? Has it been massive? We have a total solar eclipse coming up on Monday, don't we? On the 8th. North America are going to be able to see it, I believe, but not us here in the UK. I think it's happening in, I don't know when it's happening. It might be our evening, I think. So therefore we don't get to see it, but you guys in North America are behind. I don't know. I haven't quite caught up on everything. Okay, so we've got 4 cards for today. We have the 3 of Swords, we have 5 of Swords, we have the Queen of Cups, and we also have the Wheel of Fortune. So immediately a message springs to mind for me here. I think this is very much about dealing with conflict, in particular dealing with other people who seem to revel in conflict. I think when people are harmful with their words, it's really, really important to take a step back from those if you can. It's really, really difficult because sometimes when things are said, it's really common to act in our emotional selves. You know, words are said, we're triggered, and then we react to those. But I think it's really, really good if you can, in this coming week or couple of weeks, whenever you're faced with someone's hurtful words, just try and detach from those and take a step back and ask yourself, what is it about them and what they have got going on at the moment that is making them say those words? I mean, it might be that those words about you are true, but it would seem like from this hand of cards that actually this is much more about them than you. I always think that. I think that people's words are usually a reflection of themselves. It's something that they're projecting onto you for them to go ahead and say these sorts of things, because we can all say horrible things, can't we, in the heat of the moment? And actually it takes great restraint not to say things and to keep things to yourself, because usually it is just as a reaction, and usually they're not meant, and usually there is something about yourself and something about the way that you're feeling that makes you want to chuck something at someone else. So don't get caught up in other people's words. Let them say their piece and then move on. Find the sunshine. And I think the Five of Swords, again, very much points to knowing when to fight and knowing when to walk away. And I would say very much that this is a time to just walk away and then just go with the flow with it all, let them say their piece and then walk away, because actually sometimes that is being the victor. Sometimes not getting drawn into a fight and letting the other person think they have won is actually winning, because then you don't get drawn into their nonsense, into their dance, into their game, or even just into their hair. And I think it's important to remember that what goes up must come down, you know, or this idea of karma, that, you know, no matter how bad things are, they will always right themselves. And then when we're having a good period in our life, be prepared that, you know, at some point, somewhere along the way, things are going to revert back again. So if you're having a hard time with someone, remember it will get better. And to remember those things of karma, that, you know, what you give out to other people usually makes its way back to you. So if you can keep your peace, if you like, when someone else is going for it verbally, you know, that will eventually work their way back to them, probably via reflection, probably by you not reacting and walking away, and then them going, ah. So yeah, so if you're headed into any kind of conflict this week, or any pops up, I would suggest that you just, keep your mouth shut, walk away, don't get drawn into the dance. That person will go through what they need to go through to work all of this out. You just keep your peace, just keep your happy peace, stay in flow with your own life, follow your intuition, just be tuned in to your own emotions, not into someone else's. So that's all we have time for this week. Thank you so much for joining me, and again, a massive thank you for your support this week in all of its various guises. I hope you have a lovely weekend. If you are in North America, I hope you have a wonderful time and you do get to see the solar eclipse. Make sure that you do check out safety sort of advisories for that. Don't look at the sun directly, because you will obviously damage your eyes. But yeah, have a fantastic time, and we'll be back next Friday with episode 73 of the Witching Week. Sending you all so much love. Take care for now. Goodbye.